AP World History Topic 8.3 Effects of the Cold War. Essential question: in what ways did both the Soviet Union and the United States seek to maintain influence during the Cold War? The Cold War, spanning roughly from the end of World War II to the dissolution of the Soviet Union, was marked by intense geopolitical rivalry between the two superpowers of the time, the United States and the Soviet Union. Despite not engaging in direct military conflict due to the specter of nuclear annihilation, both nations pursued various strategies to maintain influence globally. These strategies encompassed military alliances, proxy wars, economic coercion, and ideological dissemination. One prominent aspect of the Cold War rivalry was the formation of military alliances. The United States established the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, in 1949, comprising Western European nations and Canada. NATO served as a bulwark against Soviet expansionism and pledged mutual defense among its members. In response, the Soviet Union created the Warsaw Pact in 1955, which included Eastern European countries under its sphere of influence. These alliances not only acted as deterrents to direct aggression but also served to consolidate influence over allied states. Proxy wars emerged as another key battleground for influence. Rather than engage in direct conflict, the superpowers manipulated regional conflicts to advance their interests. The Korean War and the Vietnam War exemplify this strategy. In Korea, the United States intervened to support South Korea against Communist North Korea, backed by the Soviet Union and China. Similarly, in Vietnam, the U.S. intervened to prevent the spread of communism, supporting the South Vietnamese government against the Viet Cong, backed by North Vietnam and the Soviet Union. These conflicts, while ostensibly fought by local actors, were heavily influenced and fueled by the superpowers, resulting in devastating human and material costs. Economic coercion also played a significant role in maintaining influence. The United States utilized its economic prowess to bolster allies and isolate adversaries. For instance, the blockade imposed during the Berlin airlift demonstrated U.S. resolve to support Western-aligned sectors of Berlin against Soviet encroachment. Likewise, the embargo against Cuba following the Cuban Revolution aimed to weaken the communist regime and limit Soviet influence in the Western Hemisphere. Conversely, the Soviet Union provided economic aid to sympathetic regimes, such as in Cuba, to cement alliances and counter Western influence. Ideological competition was another dimension of the Cold War struggle for influence. Both the United States and the Soviet Union sought to promote their respective political systems and ideologies worldwide. Through propaganda, cultural exchange programs, and support for ideological allies, they aimed to sway hearts and minds globally. The Berlin Wall, erected by East Germany with Soviet support, symbolized the ideological divide between communism and capitalism, physically separating the Eastern Bloc from the Western world. Furthermore, diplomatic initiatives such as arms control agreements and crisis management mechanisms were employed to mitigate tensions and prevent direct conflict. The Cuban Missile Crisis stands out as a pivotal moment where both superpowers came perilously close to nuclear confrontation but ultimately opted for dialogue and negotiation to defuse the situation. Initiatives like the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty and the Hotline between Washington and Moscow were attempts to establish channels of communication and reduce the risk of accidental escalation. The Cold War was characterized by multifaceted efforts by the Soviet Union and the United States to maintain influence globally. Through military alliances, proxy wars, economic coercion, and ideological competition, both superpowers vied for supremacy while seeking to avoid direct confrontation. The legacy of this geopolitical rivalry continues to shape international relations, underscoring the enduring impact of Cold War strategies on the contemporary world order.